In 1970, California prisons housed 20,000 inmates. But by 2010, the state's prison population has swollen 750%, with nearly 170,000 inmates crowded into prisons designed for half that number. Funding for rehabilitation is cut by millions. Inmates are released unprepared, commit new crimes, and return to prison, a revolving door costing billions. The state's 66% recidivism rate becomes one of the highest in the nation, pushing the system to its breaking point. Now, under federal court order to reduce its prison population by 40,000 inmates, California must look past the razor wire for solutions beyond prison.
Eventually, they're going to be released.
What we were doing was not working. Don't get me wrong, if people are violent, dangerous, or they won't stop stealing, they need to go to prison. But the majority can and should be placed on probation. We just have to try to make the probation system work better.
Hawaii Circuit Judge Stephen Alm is the driving force behind HOPE, a revolutionary probation program that's producing remarkable results, dramatically cutting costs, recidivism, and victimization.
The prison system is made up mostly of people that have failed at probation. It's not judges at original sentencing sending people to prison. Judges, most people get put on probation, and rightly so. But it's failing at probation and then going to prison. And then at the other side of it, being released from prison early, going on parole, failing at parole, and going back into prison. So we have a very overcrowded prison system, and the only way you're going to bring that down is reforming the probation and parole systems. I thought to myself, what would work? You know, what would work to change people's behavior? And I thought, well, how was I raised? How did I raise my son? You tell him what, you know, the family rules are, and then if he misbehaves, you give him a consequence immediately. And then it doesn't have to be that severe, but it has to be swift and it has to be certain. So I thought to myself, could we bring that same kind of an attitude and approach to the criminal justice system? 120 days, early release at any time is approved by the PO.
A former criminal prosecutor and U.S. attorney, Judge Alm started HOPE in 2004 with 34 high-risk offenders who were failing at regular probation.
We just said, give us the people that are failing at probation, that are having the most problems.
It wasn't a situation where we cherry-picked people that we thought would be successful in this program. We started off with the highest risk probationers.
And then we're deciding, okay, let's get the toughest of that group and put them into HOPE. Because the research is clear. You should put your resources at those that are most troubled, that are having the most problems, because then you get the best bang for your buck.
Because of its success, HOPE now includes almost 2,000 probationers, nearly a quarter of those on Oahu, all overseen by a single judge.
A lot of us are very skeptical that, given Judge Alm's background, that he would be even remotely sensitive to the needs of prospective defendants and inmates. And ironically, Judge Alm's program, the HOPE probation program, has reflected a sensitivity to the community.
Regular probation is delayed, it's uncertain, and then when something finally happens, it's often unnecessarily harsh. HOPE probation is swift, certain, and proportionate. If the person shows up at the probation office, tests positive for drugs, I want that person arrested on the spot. Go to jail. We have a hearing 2 days later with the prosecutor and defense counsel. I was convinced that would be a teachable moment.
If you're going to bring the guy in or the woman in for every positive drug test and send him or her to jail, that's trying to change their behavior by punishment. And the traditional thought process was you can't change behavior that way. What we found was this approach to probation was indeed working.
People in HOPE were getting arrested 55% less often than their counterparts in regular probation. Because they're getting arrested for new crimes 55% less often, that means people are getting victimized 55% less often.
It's an enormous benefit. It's an enormous benefit financially, a benefit to the safety of the community.
People are not getting their houses burglarized. They're not being assaulted. They're not getting their cars stolen. 55% less often in HOPE than on regular probation.
I mean, I can't imagine people not supporting it in terms of safety, economics, and just common sense.
While supervision by HOPE probation officers is more frequent, only those offenders who violate the terms of their probation come before the judge, allowing the court to focus resources on the highest risk offenders.
The difference with HOPE from regular probation is if you violate a condition of probation, we're going to try to get you arrested as soon as possible, and you can plan on doing some jail time for any violation of probation. So if you follow all these rules, I'm never going to see you again. And something like a third of the people I have this conversation with don't come back to court. Another 20% come back once.
He tells them when they come in for their HOPE warning hearing that as long as they're being honest, which honesty is something prized by HOPE probation, that they will be minimizing the length of their sanction.
What I'm watching is how you handle it if you make a mistake. And you folks are all adults. My guess is unless somebody puts a gun to your head, nobody can make you do anything you don't want to do, right? You're going to make choices on that. But if you make a mistake, if you handle it quickly and responsibly, you will get a sanction in jail, but it'll be very short.
With HOPE, drug testing is random, and sanctions are immediate. Each HOPE probationer is assigned a color and is required to call a hotline every morning to see if that color has been selected. If so, the probationer must appear that day for a drug test.
Because a lot of people have drug and alcohol issues, everybody gets put on the hotline to begin with. They're going to give you a color for privacy purposes. The colors, the hotline is on a recording every morning at 4 o'clock, so you have to wait till after 4 to call. It's 441-8989. You will memorize this.
And I have to call this number 441-8989 every day. And it's strict. If you don't call that hotline and you miss your color, you're going to jail. No ands, ifs, or buts. There's no excuses. They're going to send you to jail. And if you run, they'll catch you.
Without monitoring, people just run wild. I mean, they got in trouble in the first place because they're impulse-ridden. They got in trouble in the first place because there was no guidance. There was no one there to step up to the plate and say, wait a minute, this is wrong. And when they're put on probation and not monitored, you're just giving them carte blanche to, frankly, make the same mistakes over and over again.
HOPE is parenting 101. And if you set up clear guidelines and clear consequences, I think it helps people make better choices.
You mess up, you go in there for 3 days. Then you mess up again, they give you a month early release to a program. Then you mess up again, you go 3 months early release to a program. That whole ordeal, it gets tiring, yeah? Not only that, you start to wake up and be like, I don't want to go through this no more.
What HOPE does is, it's the simple concept that from now on, after warning the offenders, this is the way the rules are going to be done. Actually, the rules are going to be the same. We're just going to enforce them for the first time, each and every time. So from now on, if you test positive for drugs, you go to jail. If you miss an appointment, you're going to go to jail. If you run away, you're going to get arrested. You're going to do even more time in jail. And if it keeps on, you're going to go to prison.
HOPE is not a drug court. Not every offender is required to enter a drug treatment program. Treatment is mandated only if a probationer continually tests dirty for drugs, or if the probationer requests it.
A number of people can stop using methamphetamine, they can stop snorting cocaine, they can stop drinking alcohol if they know there are going to be consequences every time they test positive or every time they miss an appointment. And many are able to stop using drugs or alcohol on their own. If we can separate out the folks who can stop on their own from the ones who can't, then we will refer them to drug treatment. And it's quality drug treatment. It's either residential or it's intensive outpatient. And the combination of those really has helped to turn people's lives around.
Because only a small percentage of HOPE probationers receive mandated treatment, HOPE can afford to provide intensive outpatient and residential treatment for those most in need.
You can mandate treatment, and it does work. you know, because we use motivational interviewing to make that stuff, and the research supports that. You know, our outcomes are, when you start residential, 80% complete our programs nowadays. That's phenomenal for us, and just in the last few years. That's way different than what we've ever experienced before. And we find that we do 6-month follow-ups and find about 65% to 70% are now clean and sober.
If you incarcerate somebody right off the bat, what does it prove? It doesn't prove nothing. It doesn't do nothing for the person themselves. You know, a lot of states, they're overpopulated by inmates because they just lock everybody up. You put somebody into a program, you supervise them, you save money, the state save money, the person gets a chance to get his life together. As for me, I finally got to know who my kids are. And I've never been there for my kids. Now I know who my kids are. I take care of my kids, I take care of my responsibilities. It works.
Now, with the HOPE program, we're saving huge dollars. Instead of sending them to jail, we send them to jail for a short term and then get those who need treatment into treatment, and you have immediate results.
They help you go to drug programs when you really need them instead of, like me, I had a drug problem, man, so they didn't help me go through that. It took me a while, but you know what I mean? I got that out the way, so other than that, I may want to turn for the better. Man, you'd be surprised how they give you a chance not to go to jail. You know, if that's not inspiring enough, I don't know.
Hope Probation at least encourages someone to remain clean and sober, get a job, go to vocational training, or go on and get a college degree or a high school diploma. That says a lot because it's encouraging a person and it gives them the one thing that they lack, self-esteem.
They have this saying, yeah, where if you cannot love yourself, then the program or your probation officer or the judge will love you till you can love yourself. And I started to experience that, yeah. I really felt that.
They have faith in you. They not only make it harder for you to use because of the hotline, but Hope Probation also gives you a chance to want to get a life. It's the best program in the world. This program is designed to help anybody who wants to help themselves.
In the beginning, it's rough, yeah? Because every addict, every alcoholic comes in with the intention of being able to beat the system. That's just the way we're wired, yeah? And as soon as you get over that, they find out that this program is here to save your life. And it does, it saves your life. I see the person that I'm supposed to have been all this time, yeah? I see a whole new man, yeah?
Each prison inmate in Hawaii costs taxpayers about $50,000 annually. By sharply reducing the number of probationers returned to prison, Hope is not only changing lives and protecting public safety, it's saving tax money.
Each person in Hope is currently saving the taxpayers of the state of Hawaii between $4,000 and $6,000 per person. Hope is the best thing I have worked on. It reduces victimization, it reduces crime, it helps the offenders and their families by keeping the offender out of prison, and it saves taxpayers millions of dollars.
It helps me, it helped me change, me become more honest, yeah, keep me in check.
It saved my life because I would still be running hard out there, I would. But I'm pretty successful now. I've worked hard for the last 2 years to get where I am, and I'm pretty proud of me.
So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. And I put 110% behind Hope program. I think it's a great program.
So if we can help offenders to avoid committing new crimes, avoid victimizing people, and staying out of prison, and saving taxpayers millions of dollars, what could be better than that?